There were many lessons that I learned during my battle with cancer. Perhaps the most important one is that you have control over nothing. One of the greatest lessons has been that even though your life has been one where you've controlled everything that has happened in terms of what school you were going to, what career you were going to get into, what job, what employer you were going to have, if you are you going to be married, are you going to have, even though seemingly it would appear that you have control over those choices, when you get a diagnosis like cancer, you realize that really you don't have as much control as you think you have. um, One of the things that I thought I had full control over was my health. I was always one to, eat healthily. I was one to make sure that I worked out, kept my body healthy. And so getting a cancer diagnosis, it seemed almost unreal. How could someone that was taking care of themselves end up with cancer? So my biggest lesson during that time was that I really have control over nothing, and that things happen to you in order to build resilience about not having the control, but really being in control of how you react to the things that you don't have control over. Another lesson that I took away from that experience is that tomorrow is not promised, and that you should live a life of fulfillment. You should get clear about what it is that makes you happy. You should be clear about what it is and who it is you want to spend your time with. One of the other lessons that I took away from my battle with cancer is that time waits for no one, and you really need to get clear about who and what you do with your time. And so one of my mantras is time is our greatest gift. It is truly our greatest commodity while we're here on this earth. And it's so important to me. I actually had it tattooed down the middle of my back. So it's always with me. I'm always reminded that time is our greatest gift. If I'm ever in a situation and it's not somewhere I want to be, I go back to, is this where I want to be? And if it's not, then I kindly excuse myself, and I'm really intentional about who I spend my time with and what I spend my time doing. So that was another incredible lesson that I took away from having gone through that experience. Prior to my cancer diagnosis, there really were no symptoms. My cancer was found during my annual checkup, and my primary care doctor was doing my breast exam, and she happened to feel what was a pea-sized lump on my breast while I was lying on my back, which is another reason why I think they encourage us to do that self-examination in different positions. And, when she felt it, because of my age, she says, "Oh, this is probably nothing. You're young, your breasts are dense. It's probably just a cyst." She says, "But let's get it checked out anyway." And so that's exactly what we did. We went through the process of having a mammogram. Actually, the mammogram, again, because my breasts were so dense at the time, did not pick up on the lump. And so we ended up having to go in and do a biopsy using ultrasound. And so after having the ultrasound biopsy, that's when it was confirmed that it was in fact stage 2 breast cancer. So one of the things that I did once I got diagnosed with cancer was I decided that I wanted to explore what my treatment plans and options were off island. Even though we do have an oncology hospital on the island, I felt like I needed more. And so I found an oncology hospital in Chicago. And because the cancer that I was diagnosed with was considered to be one of the most aggressive form in African American women, my oncologist felt that it was best to be very aggressive with the treatment in return. And so I got diagnosed with stage 2 breast cancer that was triple positive, is what they called it. And that means that I was progesterone positive, estrogen positive, and also HER2 hormone positive. I was overproducing those hormones in my body. And so he recommended that because it was an aggressive form, that we should treat it aggressively, and I trusted them completely, and we began our treatment plan. My treatment plan was originally supposed to be 6 chemo treatments. We were able to get it down to 4 because the first round of treatment actually eradicated the lump significantly, and so I was able to complete the 4 rounds. During that time, I actually also did lose my hair. And it was a tough time, but I trusted my oncologist and I decided to go with his treatment plan, which included a combination of chemotherapy, it included a lumpectomy, and it also included radiation treatment. The advice that I would give to someone that's getting ready to undergo treatment is to take your time in understanding your treatment plan. And I say that because I was so afraid with the cancer diagnosis that I kind of jumped all in with my treatment plan, not having understood fully what the implications of putting all those chemicals in my body would do. And so one of the things that I came to understand later was that the chemo I was being given was going to mess with my fertility options in terms of the viability of being able to conceive later on. And I sometimes think for just a moment, if I maybe had an extra week, 2 weeks to really understand what those implications were, then perhaps I would have been able to freeze my eggs and have that possibility at a later date. And so one of the things I encourage, just having had this experience, is I encourage my dear friends and anyone that will listen, because again, we don't have any control, and who knows when we'll end up with a diagnosis such as cancer. I encourage my friends to freeze their eggs, and just in case they want to have that as an option for themselves in the future. I would say that having shared my story of cancer diagnosis, cancer treatment, and now being a cancer thriver, that on the other end of a cancer diagnosis is absolutely an opportunity where you get to live the life that you want to live. You get to live a life of freedom, you get to live a life of choice, you get to live a life of fulfillment on the other side.